Konnichiwa mina, boku wa Jeremy desu. Yoroshiku onegaishimasu. It's early in the morning again, so let's get down to this. Act 21, Complication Nemesis, finishing off the fourth manga volume, at least of the Kodansha Comics version of Sailor Moon, and kind of bringing us closer towards the end of Sailor Moon Crystal, because I think there's only 26 chapters in, again, chapter 21. So, let's get down to it. Pretty much the episode followed exactly like the manga. There's a few minor things here and there, but essentially Usagi wakes up, and actually at the very beginning of the episode, before the opening theme even started, they had that tiny little segment where it shows her being taken by Prince Demand, and they're like, oh, Usako, blah, 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 and then boom, into Moon Pride, and like, is that really necessarily? Like, they should have just started with the theme. I don't know. Anyway, whatever. So, she wakes up and disoriented, dressed in this outfit that is resembling of Neo Queen Serenity. The whole thing screams of a parallel to date rape, almost, in a weird way. That's all I could think about. It was just so weird. It's such a wrong thing to think about with it. But she's taken there against her will. Prince Demand essentially undresses her and puts her in this other costume, psychotic much, and he controls her with his eye thing. Like, come on, there's weird undertones there, but, you know, okay, whatever. It moves the plot along. So, basically, he tells her everything that happened. So, they were against all of this longevity, however you want to pronounce it. Yeah, anyway. So, they're like, oh, okay, well, this whole thing is breeding sloth and people being lazy and all that. Speaking of sloth, I'm sorry, I'm really tired. So, they're against it, and then Wise Man appeared to them, or Doom Phantom, whatever you want to call him, and offered them power. Go to Nemesis, you guys are rebels. Go to this place, you'll find the power you need, the malefic dark crystal. So they go and they get that and they bring it down to Earth. It destroys everything, basically turns it into this dark abyss that is now Crystal Tokyo, to what the current present Senshi are seeing as they go to Crystal Tokyo and so on. And basically total mess up in their values when you think about it, because Prince Demand and the others are like, oh no, the body is made to rot, that's what it's for, you shouldn't play God, and there's a lot of religious undertones there too, which makes me wonder if Naoko Tokuchi had a little thing there for the religious sects and how odd they can be sometimes. So, but again, we'll leave that for another discussion. So they're going on about how longevity is bad, blah, 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 blah. But in the same basic scene, Prince Demand is like, oh, the palace is yours to walk around because, you know what, this is going to be your eternal resting place because you can't transform anyway, and ha ha ha. So your eternal resting place, the fact that he's lived this long, and all this other stuff, so isn't he basically trading exactly what he doesn't want to have happen? He thinks that he doesn't want to actually have this immortality, but yet he has it. I don't know. It's like a politician. Never can understand what the heck they want. I don't even think they know what they want. Little bit less interaction with the Black Moon family. You don't see Saphir or Rubius or Esmeralda as much. They don't really have any speaking parts. Saphir is supposed to talk a little bit at least, but anyway, whatever. I digress. Little things here and there. This episode is very important because it shows Usagi kind of having this realization that maybe she isn't able to transform and she isn't able to use her full power to its potential because her heart is not in the right place, because she has been not darkening it, but she's been clouded over with all these weird thoughts and didn't have the trust that she normally has. And her friends have been picked off, you know, one by one, and she didn't trust Mamoru, And it's just, so she's realizing, okay, I got to step up to the plate here. I'm the future ruler of Crystal Tokyo, so let's get my ass in gear and get things done. So she wants to transform but can't. She calls out to the others, thinking that they are there somewhere. But another thing I wanted to point out, and I had thought about it as I watched the episode, and I just thought about it now. When Prince Demand first saw Neo Queen Serenity, Chibiusa had broken into the palace. Not really broken into it, but she went into the room that she's not supposed to go to, where the silver crystal was kept, on a dare, essentially, by these boys that told her that she had no power and just making fun of her. You know how kids are, it kind of makes sense. And so she goes to see it, uses Luna P to crush it, so all these other people can't get to the silver crystal, but this ball thing that's meant to look like Luna can somehow break the casing around it. Considering that it was probably made of parts of the silver crystal itself, why doesn't she use the Luna P to crush open the crystal surrounding her mother? Yeah, but that's another story. So she runs out of the palace because Neo Queen Serenity went out looking for her, and that's when the Black Moon family happened to attack, possibly because the palace security thing was down because of the silver crystal being taken by Chibiusa. But she just happened to see the point where Prince Demand was facing off against Neo Queen Serenity. He tried to use his attack. The silver crystal basically encased itself around her, which also doesn't make sense because the silver crystal wasn't with her at the time. It was with Chibiusa. So where did that power come from? Probably residual energy from it. I guess it makes sense in that sense. But it's almost like a gigantic chastity belt. It really is. Because when you look at the intentions of Prince Demand from a sex offender type of place, and I know this is such a weird thing to say, but it's weird. Like, there's all these creepy little undertones, and that you don't really consider too much, and maybe I'm looking way too much into it, but it's there. And it's like the silver crystal builds this protective barrier around her and all that other stuff. So it's such a weird thing, but am I weird for thinking this stuff? Tell me. So that happens. Chibiusa realizes that it basically is her fault that this may have happened, and so she feels terrible, and this is a huge weight on her conscience, and so she goes back in time to try to find the other Senshi. Now, she had been told by her father all this time that Sailor Moon was infallible. She was not able to be beaten. She had her friends all around her. Her strength was drawn from all that. But Chibiusa has witnessed a different story. She's seen the Senshi being picked off one by one, Sailor Moon losing her resolve, a little bit of jealousy in there, which has clouded her morals and stuff, and it's just, now she feels really alone. So she decides to go to the one place where she feels safe, and that would be the Time Door, where Sailor Pluto is. And we find out how they met, how Chibiusa felt alone, and how she met Pluto, and that was like her one special friend. Pluto taught her abracadabra. And that was used a lot in the musicals, and it's such a cute little thing, especially the way they do it in the musicals. And I really like how Sailor Pluto is, she can be strong, but at the same time she's probably the most tender of all of them, including Sailor Moon. She's got a very big heart, and she is very understanding. She's incredibly wise. I mean, she'd have to be. She's the eldest of all of them, but you can also see that her love for the king is there when Chibiusa witnesses them talking and stuff, and there's the blushing and all that stuff. And I'm glad that they're showing that more in this series than they did in the original one, because Sailor Pluto is in love with him, just like Queen Beryl was. And in the Setsu musical, they did focus on that with one song, Women's Dispute. It was between Sailor Pluto singing to Queen Beryl, and it was wonderful. So Chibiusa all of a sudden thinks that nobody wants her because Pluto's all of a sudden happy and without Chibiusa being there. So there's a little bit of that selfishness there that her mother, Usagi, has as well. And it really does draw the parallel that Usagi and Chibiusa are so very similar, at least in this rendition. Chibiusa in the original anime was kind of portrayed as more mature than her mom and all this other stuff. But really, when it comes right down to it, she is her mother's daughter. So she goes off, drops the key accidentally, and Pluto finds it and then freaks out because she's like, oh my gosh, Chibiusa is running around here, what do I do? Although she calls her small lady, of course. Another thing I want to point out, before I get into the final kind of things of this, why does Tuxedo Command keep referring to King Endymion as King? It's himself. It's almost like I don't know. There's those guys that they'll sit there and they'll pep talk themselves. They're like, oh yeah, you're the man. You're butch. You got a big dick. All that kind of stuff there. And it's so funny because it's almost like that. Is he trying to like, hey, King, King. I don't know. It's early in the morning. I'm in a weird place, so there you go. But it's just something to think about. It's really funny. I understand the rest of them calling him King. Yeah, okay. But, this is him talking to himself. If I was to meet myself in the future, I'd be like, hey, asshole, how's it going? Like, whatever. But at the same time, it's just really funny to me. So Chibiusa comes across this place where she's never been, in the Abyss, and Doom Phantom, or the Phantom, whatever, is there. And he reaches out to her, he's talking to her, like, really, really creepy. And she doesn't, she's scared, but she doesn't, like, run away or anything like that. She just stands there. And he's kind of got that similar power to Prince Demand, I suppose, maybe that's why. But then he extends this really creepy old hand out that kind of reminds me of the guy from Scary Movie 2. Take my little hand. You know that one? The really, really creepy one? It's like really long nails and all that other stuff, and it's just weird. And this really creepy voice. I would not want to go with him if I was her. Anyway, so next episode, of course, will be the birth of Black Lady, which in the original English dub they changed to Wicked Lady, of course. And the thing about the things at the end of the closing credits is it always spoils everything. I mean, for someone like me that's read the manga, and for a lot of you that have it as well, you know what's going to happen. But there is a new generation of people that have never seen this stuff before. So, yes, tease some stuff, but why blatantly show exactly what's going to happen? Like, we know that the Senshi are going to get back and all this other stuff because of that thing. So I'm not really spoiling it. It's in the episode thing there. That scratching that you hear, by the way, is Bailey at the door. She wants in. So, all in all, very good episode. Very good visually. There wasn't a lot of stuff at all that I can think of that was off base. Like, the bodies were drawn properly. There was a lot of elegance to it. The ambiance was true to what it should be. And it was quite amazing. So, very well done, and we shall see what happens in the future. Don't forget that the newest Sailor Moon musical has been announced. It is called Un Nouveau Voyage, which means a new voyage. We'll be at the Aya Theater in Tokyo in September, and then move on to Osaka after that. And it will be the graduation of the 5 current actresses playing Moon, Mercury, Mars, Jupiter, and Venus. We know that for sure. We don't know much of anything else. I don't know what's going to happen with Tuxedo Command, if Yugi Yamato's going to stay as him, and Sailor Pluto's actress. I really like her too. I hope she sticks around. But it would be nice to get some of the mix back in there, the gender mix and stuff. So I don't know if that's going to happen, but yeah, I don't know. Anyway, all right. That is it. I'm going to go to bed now because I have to open in the morning at work, and it could be hectic. I don't know. But don't forget to check out my radio show, Animated Japan, Insanity on the Radio, tomorrow, which is Sunday, and every other subsequent Sunday after that, on 92.5 FM in Kamloops, www.thex.ca, Japanese music at its best. And I will see you guys later. Bailey keeps looking around like there's a ghost in here, which there very well could be, I don't know. But that doesn't scare me at all, so. Alright, Jamata Nemina, let me know what you think. Do you think some of these weird things that I was drawing parallels to are just in my imagination, or do you think there could be some validity to some stuff? I don't know. It's really weird. Alright, Jamata Nemina, we'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.